Hey, good morning again. Super excited. You guys are excited? You guys ready for this?
We're excited, and Sammy's doing everything today. So I'm excited to be next to Sammy. This is like, I'm just starstruck right now.
Yeah, today's going to be a good day. So we had to move up the Q&A. You know how they say, we make plans and God just laughs, right? So we're excited about this. So this is Pastor Mark and Myl. They're the new pastoral family at On Mission Church. And we're just so excited. I know the pastoral search team went through hundreds of resumes for a couple of months, and they did a lot of praying. My wife was part of the pastoral search team. She did not tell me a single thing. I met Mark on that day. I didn't even know the name. But they did such a great job choosing someone. And we just want to kind of get to know them a little bit. So, again, we want to open it up for questions. And I got some questions that I have for them. But I also want to open it up so that for you guys to ask any questions that you guys have. Now, they were youth pastors in Oregon at the Church on a Hill, right, since 2014. Yeah. And you guys drove 7 hours out here in the last 7 days.
Yeah, I wish it was 7 hours.
7 days.
7 hours every day.
Yeah. 7 hours every day, exactly.
Yeah, so
I would love to ask you guys, what did you guys learn about each other that you guys did not know about each other after being stuck in a car for 7 days straight?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. So first of all, it's just great to be here. It's great to see you all, and it's an honor to be here. And this is, you have an amazing team, this you know. And so I was laughing last night. I'm like, do they need a lead pastor? Like communicating with Reese and with Sammy, and just that your team is amazing. So I'm humbled to be part of the team. As far as the road trip, we're still alive, which is great because you never know with all those semis.
Because he drove.
Yeah. We had Myl drive for a little bit. We thought, okay, for our cardiovascular conditions, we want to make sure that we get there. And so I drove. I learned about Myl. I think the thing I learned the most is that I knew that she's very focused, but she had these amazing plans for the kids, all these books in the back. And they had, every 30 minutes was planned out for the day. So the kids would do a show. They'd have to do coloring. They'd do story time, reading, listen to a song. And it was very rigid. So I had my role, which is this, try not to become a pancake on these crazy interstates on the way here. So yeah, it's there's this extra level of focusedness that I saw, which I was impressed with. It's not new, but it's just a different level. It's a whole different ballgame. Very driven.
How about you, Myl?
Yeah, I didn't learn anything new either. Sorry. But I kind of like him, just more oh, wow. I was just kind of more impressed, wow, he knows a lot of information. As driving through.
My husband's intelligent. New information.
No, different information than me. So just talking about different plants. Can you guys hear me now? So different plants. As we're driving by different things. Science stuff, the skies, Tennessee walking horses. Just telling the girls different things that I just was new information for me. And I'm like, wow, you know that stuff. So. Yeah.
So, Mark, what's the randomest, weirdest fun fact that you know?
I know. Wow. Since it's fresh in my mind, is that Tennessee walking horses have a weird gait. It's a 3-beated gait.
Okay.
That's it. That came in handy when we got into Tennessee. My kids were like, yes, my dad knows something. And so my wife was impressed too.
Cool. So we want to get to know you guys more and more. How long have you guys been married now?
Almost 12 years.
Yeah, tomorrow, 12 years.
Wow. Tomorrow. Congratulations. That is awesome. So, Myl, how did you know that Mark was the one?
How did I know? Well, I think in your question it was when did you know? I could be wrong. Can I answer when did I know?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it wasn't a big blob, well, I know I'm going to marry him, and he's the one. But there were 2 moments that really stick out in my mind that I was like, oh, maybe this is really it. And the first one was when we actually first met. So we kind of knew each other from a distance. We have an interesting story how we met. Someday maybe you'll hear it. And so we knew each other from a distance for 2 or 3 months, just from a distance, a picture, and knew who each other were, but kind of awkwardly made eye contact, not really kind of a thing. And then one day we couldn't avoid each other anymore. I came out of class late, he came out of his class late from a different part of the campus, and no one else was around. And he stuck out his hand. It was he had to, at that point, introduce himself. He just stuck out his hand and say, hey, I'm Mark. Are you Mary Lynn? Because my name is Mary Lynn. I go by Myl. So Yeah, and it was that handshake. It was like, it just totally took me back because we never met, but I'd seen him from a distance, had this interaction from a distance, like, email, whatever. And so it just kind of like shocked me because he was way different than the impression that I had. And I remember thinking, like, in that handshake, like, oh my goodness, maybe it's him. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel it. I don't feel it, though. But you felt it, okay? That's good.
I'm glad you didn't feel it.
Mark, same question to you.
You can switch mics just for her. Awesome.
Yeah, Mill is
She's cutting it out.
It's probably 'cause,
so was it when or how or I'm blanking out?
When was it that you knew?
So
that
I
she was the
knew
one?
she was the one when I saw her
Okay.
in the plaza where we studied in Chicago. Because like I turned red and I was getting all sweaty.
Yeah. Okay.
My heart was just racing. I'm like, wow. I had a relative that told me once that he knew when this girl walked into church, he got all sweaty and weird. He's like, Mark, that's when I knew. I was like, dude, you're weird. And then years later, I look across the plaza. I'm like all sweaty and I can't talk. I'm like, whoa, I think that's the one. So it actually worked out.
Cool. Actually worked out. Mill, if you could describe Mark as a Starbucks drink, what would he be?
Okay, I didn't have any prep on that question at all. All right. Good thing I know my Starbucks drinks.
Same question is coming to you, Mark. So
I'm ready.
So you go first.
Should I go
He doesn't know
first this time?
Starbucks
Yes,
drinks.
it's easy for me. They have water.
He's going to be like, hot chocolate? Oh, man, that's a hard one. Okay, I'm going to do actually, I don't really know my Starbucks drinks. I drink pretty plain coffee, but I know it better than he does. But something with like sea salt, caramel, like one of those weird flavors that's like salty and sweet, because he has just this odd sense of humor, you've maybe noticed or will notice about him, this differentness that people might at first be like when the whole sea salt thing came out, it was like, what? We're going to do that, and then now everybody loves it. But you kind of that's kind of like, it's, what?
Yeah. Wow.
And then you're like, wow, this is awesome. So
The handshake was great.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Mark?
She is a triple sow cow, fluffy frou, triple shots, water that's iced. I don't know. I'm not a coffee guy, so I don't know. I don't even know what I just said. But she's the most beautiful drink that they have. Is what my wife is.
There we go. I like it. So we're gonna jump back and forth, and we would love to just have a conversation with you guys, get to know you guys in your missions as well and all that stuff. But also we'll make you guys do some cool, fun stuff today. So be ready. Today's gonna be fun.
Ready.
That was just an intro. So I do want to
no
add.
cartwheels though.
Excuse me.
No cartwils.
No
please.
cartwheels.
Now you have to do
I
that.
promise.
Now that you mentioned it.
Unless someone from Facebook asks, then we might have to. So, Mark, Pastor Mark, tell us a little bit about when you got that calling of a pastorhood. How did you feel? Did anyone object? Did you object yourself?
Yeah.
How was that?
That's a good question. So, long story short, I did construction at a high school for about 4.5 years, almost 5 years. And so I was working with a team of guys that were Christ followers. And so that was my mission field. I never thought I'd go to college. I did horrible in high school. Didn't apply myself. And so these Christian coworkers were like, Mark, you can't stop talking about Jesus. I would get goosebumps showing up to a job site because there'd be framers there that didn't know Christ, or roofers or plumbers. And that was my mission field. I'm like, why do I go to college? Or they kept saying, hey, you should get into full-time ministry. I thought, why? I'd lose my witnessing opportunities, And so it was a wrestle to fit into the mold of the American idea of being a pastor. I always had that push and call for discipleship, which I took serious. It was a push from those guys that got me to go to Chicago to study for undergrad. And during that, it was confirmed even more. I'm like, wow, I could do this full time and talk about Jesus and get a check for this. This is unbelievable. This is you got to be kidding. So it was in that season, probably 22, 23 years old, somewhere in there. I felt the call, and we use that a lot of times in different ways. But that's when I sensed that God wanted me to do this all the time and be full-time in it. It was around that age.
Was there any family member, anyone like that objected to it?
No. My parents, they're believers. They became believers later in life when my sister and I were born, and so they're strong into church, and they're Christ followers as well. So I've had support on this journey. Haven't had any obstacles or barriers in the way. And so a lot of open doors. It hasn't been an easy road, but a lot of open doors to go forward and pursue full-time ministry.
Cool. How would your 10-year-old self react to what you do now if he found out that you were a pastor now?
Yeah, well, when I was 10, I was obsessed with BB guns, tree houses, just that age of just doing whatever. And so I was in church at that time, so I knew a lot of these things about the Bible and Jesus, but I think I was probably right on the edge of just thinking military. It was like 11, 12, I became obsessed with the Marines, and like, man, I would be all in and just do what they do for fitness and all the psychological stuff that has to be in to be equipped for the military. So now I'm in God's army. So it took a change. So yeah.
This is for Myl. Myl, right. I know you guys have 3 beautiful girls, Zora, Reese, and Sadie. We've heard him describe the family or define the family as the estrogen empire. That's right. Right? How would you define your family?
Nothing, not a word, not a cool slogan that's that brilliant, because humor's not my thing. But I would choose the word imperfect. And that's kind of been a thing for us maybe the last 2 years or so. It's just been one of those words that we just kind of keep telling each other. This world is so imperfect, and we think it's like everything feels right, and then something goes wrong, you know? And it's like, oh man, imperfect. And I feel like with our family, like we're trying so hard to just love Christ above all and talk about Jesus all the time and pray with them and sing and just be awesome parents. And then we're imperfect. And yeah, so imperfect. And hopefully that helps you guys realize too, like we're not terrible people, but we're real. And, you know, especially we come from Oregon where everyone's, you know, real granola. So we're real down to earth. And we just want you guys to know that too from the start.
We love that. So we know that you spent some time in Montenegro, right? How many years did you guys do missions there?
We were there for 4 years.
4 years. So what was a situation where you guys really felt God, you know, where you maybe felt unsafe or you maybe felt scared, and then you guys just saw God just work His power?
You can cover safety. I can cover fruit.
Please.
Yeah.
You want to do the safety aspect? Okay. So I guess for me, as far as safety, if you've ever been to Eastern Europe, it's just very different than even Western Europe. So just much more, just different culturally in a lot of ways. And so safety was always just I remember when we first showed up to our house, we didn't have an address. And I'm like, I couldn't even operate my phone. I'm like, what do you do if something's wrong? And you find out quick that you just have to fend for yourself and not lean. Like in the United States, we get so used to and spoiled with all the things we have from services and emergency services. So it's just very different over there. But I'll just kind of spin that back into watching God work. We had to redefine fruits, and we did this. A lot of times, a lot of you volunteer in ministry, and you serve and you serve and you serve. It's different. Like in construction, at the end of the day, the siding was up, had this visible reward for what we did, or a window was in, or whatever it was. And in ministry, sometimes you don't see that fruit of the labor. And so one day, we served with Roma kids, also known as gypsy kids. And so we're teaching these gypsy kids, going to their little village with their huts. And so we would teach them their language, like how to write, right? And so it's kind of funny watching Americans and Germans teach the local kids how to write. So here we are teaching them, and it was tough, bad conditions. I remember watching this like 5-year-old girl smoking a cigarette. They do their own tattoos, lighting a Frisbee on fire, like these things I'll never forget watching. But we would go there and cross the line, the social divide, and to teach them. And we'd teach them and hang out with them and love them and show them Christ. But one day, in our language cafe, we're sitting around talking about this the next day at our staff meeting, and we noticed that we had been seeing, there was now graffiti all over the town on dumpsters and walls of these kids. They know how to write their names. So their names were everywhere in this town. So we're like, oh man, what do we do? We kind of felt bad from the local authorities. We're like, hey, that is fruit. Sometimes you see fruit in different ways. And so we had to redefine what fruit looks like in the mission field.
In that meeting, too, they slipped a paper under the door with their names on it.
I remember watching that fall to the ground. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
That was pretty special. I think for me, safety-wise, the drivers are really scary. But it was just beautiful country. If you guys can ever get to ex-Yugoslavia, it's just gorgeous. So Croatia is more people more know of, but just south of Croatia is Montenegro. And it's pretty much the same as Croatia, just a little bit cheaper because it's less touristy. But driving on those roads, you have, the mountains on this side and the Adriatic Sea on this side and the palm trees, and it's just perfect temperature. It's awesome. But then you're driving on these roads going so fast. We had our team, like VW, van. And I'd been learning to drive this stick because the VW is a stick, and just go in, and as he said, or maybe I said, maybe I admitted, not a great driver. But anyways, these people, they like pass you on when there's like a curve coming up and it's a 2-lane highway, and it's like just going to their death. And I have no idea how we came out of those 4 years alive. It's just insane. There's so many of those like, I can't breathe moments because of the driving. But another one I can think of too is there was a man, it's kind of tied into safety and then fruit, kind of how God like turned that situation. But there was a man who was kind of following us, not really following us the girls on the team. They just knew that we were the foreigners, and he was just kind of one of those guys that was all around town and just a little, I feel really unsafe when he's around. But eventually, I don't remember how long it was into being there, I met his daughter, who was a teenager, and we became good friends, and she accepted Christ. And I kind of got to help walk her through that first year of discipleship, and then she moved away. But that was just a cool kind of redemptive thing, a story, I guess.
That's awesome. And now you're ready to drive in Atlanta, because driving here is insane. So
that's right. He was preparing us.
You noticed,
yeah.
Good. So, what, Reese? That's the fruit. So we got a couple of questions from people. And guys, if you guys have a question, please just raise your hand and we'll ask them for sure. But I want to ask, and I don't know who asked it, but what's one thing you hope for in this church?
Wow. Well, I hope for a lot. First of all, I love the name of your church. I just love the idea. We've used that as a saying for a long time. Hey, let's be on mission for what we're doing. That was one of the first things that caught my attention looking. And so hope is that this is a time more than ever for the church to be the church. And I have a feeling I'm not the only one that knows that in this room and for you watching online. This is society. We're coming from the Portland area. So if you've seen the news, you know we came from a pretty crazy area, but Atlanta is not immune as well. So just the hope that discipleship is taken serious and that people take ownership in their faith. And if we have that, if we individually live out the gospel, we are untouchable and unstoppable as a church. So that's my hope for us as a church at On Mission, that we can all individually live that and to be that light that the society desperately needs right now.
Myl, who's your favorite character in the Bible?
Jesus.
Okay.
Is that okay? Man, I love especially the story in John 21 where he cooks breakfast for his disciples. That just to me is like, cooking breakfast on a beach. Like there's just nothing more perfect. It just shows that humanity side and that servant heart. And then have any of you seen The Chosen? Especially after watching The Chosen, I'm like, I love Jesus even more, which I hope it's not like idolizing the wrong image, but it's just done so well and just kind of like rekindled that love for Jesus, that human side especially.
Love it. Love it. Mark, what was one of the weirdest questions the pastoral search team asked you?
Yeah, they were very professional and civil. I was braced. I think the weirdest thing was that Drew made me do a urine analysis.
What?
So Drew, I don't think you're here, but I had to drive 30 minutes and I'm in this clinic doing all these things. I'm like, was there a story behind this? I don't know, I did it, you know. I'm thinking, did that poppy seed muffin, is it going to like... So no, the questions were straightforward. I didn't get any like total curveballs because we had a lot, I don't know, there's so many Zoom calls before. By the time we got here, a lot of the groundwork was figured out. So nothing that was too out there, but very professional and organized. You guys have a great team here.
So this is for both of you guys. Why do you guys choose On Mission?
If you want to. I have a long list. But
well, we feel, I think we were just talking about it this morning, but we kind of feel like it chose us kind of a thing. Like we were just open to wherever God wanted us. We knew it was the next step. We weren't sure where. And he just kind of opened the doors. So, but there's just so many, we kind of had a little list of what our priorities are in a church body. And you guys just definitely just checked off. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was the name, but also it was the team. So we could see things like media. You guys Reese and Brandon and all you guys do amazing with media production. That's big for us. I know it kind of sounds weird, maybe a little bit vain, but in 2020, if you're trying to reach millennials and the next generation, you have to be culturally relevant. And this team shows us that they're very culturally relevant, which we appreciate. The band is amazing, and the worship team. So those are little indications. When we came here and flew in to meet the team, and I could tell, oh yeah, this staff, we're going to have good chemistry with the staff that's here. And so you guys have a lot of ambition, which I love as well. People tuning in, you probably think this is a church of 10,000. It's not. But the production-wise, we're ready to grow. And so that's some of the reasons why we're pumped to be here.
That's awesome. I want to read another question from someone that was here. So we know Pastor Robbie Zachariah, and I think his name is Cruel. They both passed away.
Yeah.
Who were big theologians or pastors that have influenced your life?
Sure. Yeah, Ravi Zacharias passing away was big. So apologetics helped me in my faith. So it's not the study of Canadian history of how to say you're sorry. It is the how to defend your faith, right? So I started I'll share my story here in a few weeks, but just faith was like a dirty 5-letter word to me. And so I needed to know the nuts and bolts of how things worked. And so I didn't know you could actually defend Christianity even without the Bible. And so Ravi was instrumental in that for myself. And no big names, really, for me. It was just some church guys, some older guys in church that saw something in me. And these guys are truck drivers, just very humble guys. Nobody up here on the platform. Even youth ministries, the volunteers in the back, guys that made me feel visible because I felt very invisible in middle school, even in high school. And so Rod Moore, none of you have heard of Rod Moore. He's a truck driver in Oregon. He's the reason why I'm here today.
Love it. So who's the dancer of the two?
Definitely me.
Okay.
He can't dance, which is weird because he's a drummer and he has great rhythm, but his body, doesn't do it.
So what's the song that gets you tapping your feet and kind of moving around a little bit?
Anything by Pink Martini. So if you guys don't know Pink Martini, gotta look them up. They're a band from Portland. They play for the big political events, whatever, and they're awesome. Yeah.
We're going to have to check those out.
If the UN had a band, it would be Pink Martini.
Pink
they do
Martini.
world global music.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have to check those out on Apple Music and Spotify.
Yeah.
Cool.
Little plug. Do we get paid
They're not
for that?
sponsoring this. So if your life depended on it and you guys had to just show your best dance move, what dance move would you bust out?
Well,
Oh, no.
well, for me, so I can't dance, so I would die.
But you had to.
If I had to, I can only mosh, and some of you maybe have no idea what that means. So I grew up. Okay, yeah, let's go. On Mission Church, you're ready. So yeah, that was all I did. Is I used to go to a lot of metal concerts and swinging from light fixtures and biting people I didn't know back in the day, and so that's what I could do. If that would help save my life, I would do it.
How about you, Mel?
Getting a little bit TMI today, I don't know, but
Probably some formal waltzy kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, something safe. I mean, just because I'm the dancer of the two doesn't mean I'm a dancer. I'm not a
Gotcha.
dancer, but yeah.
Love it. Any questions that anyone might have in the room?
Right here.
Who's your favorite drummer?
Ooh, that's a good question. Danny Carey's up there from Tool. Polyrhythms, stuff I could never do. He's an inspiration. Jimmy Chamberlain from the Smashing Pumpkins, using jazz alternative, but in an alternative rock band with a little bit of grunge. Hopping that left foot on the hi-hats, that's amazing. So those guys, I can't do what they do, but I envy them. And you, you're amazing, man. You're killing it back here, really. Yeah.
So last question and this is from Facebook, from Ivan. So he asked, what are the top 3 things that you're looking forward to doing here at On Mission Church?
Wow. So number one, well, you can go too. So number one is just establishing a cohesive vision. This church, I've been impressed that a lot of people, when I talked to the staff, it was funny. I said, well, hey, what is the mission of the church? And I got great answers, but all in different directions, right? So I think my role will be to bring that in and focus that. That way every ministry knows, okay, what is our mission? That way maybe a third grader could articulate that without even thinking. It comes naturally. So that's number one. Number 2 is where do we want to go? Is it a building? If God grows us in the next couple years, is it our new facility, our own facility, I should say? That's another thing. But also what I talked about earlier is just ownership and faith, and trying to get metrics of how to find what success is, what fruit is. Okay, what is a visible metric? Like in youth ministry, when I would see students with their hands in the air in worship, that's a visible metric to me that was a win tonight. Go home and take that as a token from God that things are going well. So those are 3 things that come to mind.
Well, we're so excited. We're running out of time. Well, we're so excited. But anyone at Facebook that has questions, and anyone that's here that has questions, they're an open book. They told me that they're ready to answer everything and anything.
She had a question here.
Sorry, I didn't see that. Do you guys
Harry
like Harry
Potter?
Potter? It's a great question.
You know, neither of us. Have you seen the movie?
I haven't read a
And
book. I haven't seen a movie.
Yeah,
But I know about it.
we do know about it.
Yeah.
And maybe our oldest will start reading big books soon. I don't.
Yeah, Hogwarts. I've heard of Hogwarts, and I've heard of houses. So a little street cred, but not a lot. So you have to tell us
You'll
later.
have to tell us about it.
Yeah, tell us which movie is your favorite, which book. We'd love to know. Let's talk later. That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Any other questions at all from the crowd?
What do you call a carbonated beverage?
What do you call a carbonated beverage? That's a good question. So something that we don't drink. That's what we call it.
No, I drink sparkling water.
That's right.
We call them LaCroix.
Gassy
I'm
water.
sorry, La Croix.
Yeah. She speaks French. Pop. We might be done here. Is that the wrong answer?
Is
you
it
say
soda?
or do you say Coke? It's Coke. Ah, that's right. It's Coke for like Pepsi too? You said you want a Coke, you give them a Pepsi?
We don't talk Pepsi
We have
in
division
Atlanta.
in the room today.
Oh, right,
You
have
don't
the
drink
Coke,
Pepsi.
The big
Oh,
Coke museum
is
thing.
like here in Atlanta, right? Yeah. So I don't say Pepsi. Yikes. Yeah. Coke country. Okay.
Any other
We're learning
questions?
today.
Any other questions,
These are
guys?
good questions, though. We're
Guys-
open books. Anything goes. Do we like it here so far? We do. And June was a great indication. Just getting to know the staff and the team. And we met some of you back in June, which is great. Today is so awkward with masks, and we can't hang out like we want to. It's hard enough if you didn't have masks to remember your faces, but we're trying to get eyeballs figured out. But no, we do love it here so far. It's been good. Our girls, it was fun to see them see a firefly in Tennessee a couple days ago. They went crazy over the firefly that we saw because we don't have those in Oregon. So lightning bugs. Sorry, I don't know what you call them. Pepsi. Do you call them Pepsi? No. Is it a Coke bug? I don't know. So yeah, we do love it so far. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we would love to pray over you guys today. Anyone that's on Facebook, please extend your hands. Let's close them out in prayer, and then we got some more special stuff that we got going on. Everyone that's here, if you guys don't mind standing up and spreading your hands out here so we can pray for the pastoral team, the pastoral family. Yeah. And I'll stand up as well. Heavenly Father, we just want to say thank you. Thank you because you've provided an incredible pastoral family for this church of On Mission. Heavenly Father, I pray that you protect them. I pray that you build a wall of angels around them and their families. As we know the enemy is going to try to attack. But we know where our foundation is at. We know where their foundation is at. I pray that you protect them in big time ways. Heavenly Father, I pray that you open up the doors for them to be able to spread the gospel throughout the community, throughout the city, throughout the state, throughout the world. That this is a voice that just gets heard all throughout the world. Heavenly Father, I pray that you give Mark and Myl boldness to spread that word. And I also pray that you give them understanding and wisdom to deal with everything that comes with being a pastor. We're so thankful that you brought this family here to us. And we cannot wait to see what you have in store for us. In your powerful name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.